Hey, beautiful good afternoon to you. Coming live from Panuka Farm. This is Mr. Panuka. It's been raining very hard. Um, I think in Lusaka and almost all parts of Zambia the last 2-3 weeks. But unfortunately, much as we cherish the rains, when the rains gets a bit to the extreme, it actually becomes a bit detrimental in terms of vegetable production, especially in open field. And this is where you actually see now the superiority of protected farming, given these climate change, extreme situations. Remember, climate change, does not just result in drought, but also sometimes, an increase in rainfall pattern, over and above the normal, rainfall. So we've actually seen the manifestation of this, I think, here in Lusaka and quite some other parts of Zambia. So it's been a bit difficult to do some of the door open field, crops. And for us here at Panuka Farm, mainly it's the likes of, iceberg lettuce and baby marrow. Those are the ones that we do in the open. And we've actually seen a huge drop in the quality of the production because of the increased rainfall pattern. Remember, crops need sunlight, so you need that balance of sunlight and the water. So this crop ordinarily should have actually been almost ready, but then we've actually seen that the quality has kind of been compromised, but we still hope for that we'll be able to get something from this crop, provided we'll have a bit of a break in the rain so that we have a bit of sunshine here at the farm. Otherwise, we've tried to manage the weeds because, again, with this increased intense rainfall pattern, we've had an onslaught of weeds, but at least our team has done an excellent job to contain the weeds. So that's very, very critical. I'll take you shortly in the greenhouse so that you actually see the huge difference in the outlook of the iceberg lettuce, the one that is in the open and the one in the greenhouse. Apparently, actually, we planted them almost at the same time, but we kind of anticipated that we might have this onslaught of rain based on the forecast by the meteorological department. And so we had to plant some of the iceberg lettuce in the greenhouses just for risk management. So that's where we are. But overall, I think our open field production has really, really been affected negatively. And thank God, at least we've invested quite a bit in greenhouses, which then helps us to leverage on our production. So let's get into the greenhouses, just see what we've done in terms of risk management, in terms of iceberg lettuce production, just in case this rainfall pattern continues. We've had to plant some in the greenhouses. So let's get there into the greenhouses. All right, so we are in greenhouse number 9. So we've transplanted some iceberg lettuce in here, which we also use as a main rotational crop in the greenhouses. But like we just discussed, we've actually seen that production in open field, which is where we usually do produce most of the iceberg lettuce, has actually gone down due to excessive rainfall. So this is some kind of also risk management backup plan. We have some iceberg lettuce in here that has just been transplanted, and we should be transplanting some more iceberg lettuce in the greenhouses so that within this period that we anticipate some heavy downpour, we can at least have some iceberg lettuce. But you can also take into account some of the issues that we discussed in another video that with iceberg lettuce, you need to mind, the season, because if it's too hot, it actually becomes a bit of a challenge for the heads to form. I think the greenhouse environment, especially here in Lusaka, Zambia, where it's quite hot, is best for leafy vegetables if you're doing, crop rotation, and not necessarily the iceberg lettuce that requires to have a head, form properly. But yeah, so just take that into account. So let's march on and look at the other greenhouses where we have some iceberg lettuce that we've planted so far, just to try and leverage on the open fields, lettuce, which somehow is having issues. So here we are. This is greenhouse number 5. We have another iceberg lettuce, greenhouse, and you can actually see that there's a huge difference in the outlook of the iceberg lettuce with the one that is in open field versus this one in the greenhouse. This one, I think the heads have now formed quite well. A bit late, but it's come out quite perfect. You can actually see just the way our off-takers love the iceberg lettuce. Soft, very good heads. Okay. So this is what we do here at Panuka Farm. Remember, like we've indicated, just like any other enterprise, you've got to do some kind of risk management. We foresaw that the iceberg lettuce that we planted in the open would have issues because of the excessive rains, and so what we did was to plant iceberg lettuce in the greenhouses, and voila, it came out quite well. And then as soon as the weather normalizes, the rain pattern kind of gets a bit more normal, and we will revert to do mass production of iceberg lettuce in open fields. So at the moment, we've got to intensify, farming iceberg lettuce in the greenhouses, so that we don't disappoint our off-takers. Remember, consistency is the key. Our off-takers do not want excuses. So it's up to us at enterprise level to try and deploy some of these risk management, tools, so that we continue with the aspect of consistency in our production. Okay. All right. So that was just some quick tidbits in terms of risk management, effects of climate change, and how do you go about changing, production in different environments. And again, you actually see the superiority of the greenhouses and how that can help you in terms of, climate change, adaptation. I think it's not so much about the mitigation issue. It's about how do you adapt to different climate change, conditions. So you need to have these different, production, systems, so that you can continue production regardless of the different changes in terms of climate. So remember, it's not so about drought, but climate change can also result in excess rainfall, excess heat, could also be too cold, all those extremes are manifestations of climate change. And somehow as a farmer, you need to be ready for such and have some mechanisms to mitigate and adapt from those climatic, conditions. This is Mr. Panuka, and thank you for tuning in, and see you in another installment on Panuka Farm YouTube channel. Bye-bye.